Hello, beautiful humans. This is Jaylene and Jules from the Empowering Women Project, and you're listening to the EWP podcast.
This podcast is for the women who know deep in their soul they are here for more. If you are done with the BS stories and limiting beliefs that are holding you back from your dreams becoming a reality,
come jump in the driver's seat and pave the way back home to her. This is a space for you to feel seen, heard, supported, and accepted for who you are, who you were, and who you're becoming.
Celebrating you wherever you are in your journey. Sit back, grab a tea or a wine, and come empower yourself with us. Jules and Day, let's grow. Hello and welcome back to the EWP.
Hello, beautiful humans. We are back.
And today we are talking about navigating transitions from your old self to your new self and the in-between stage of feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, we are. I am so excited to do this. Obviously, throughout life and everything, we obviously go through those transitions through old self to new self, and we're kind of in this era ourselves, so we just wanted to talk into it a lot more. So yeah, it's going to be a beautiful episode, and we hope you get lots out of it.
Exactly. And as we prepare for these episodes, we realize how much they coincide with one another and how much, all of the things that we use in our toolkit are sort of valuable in lots of different stages of our lives. And so I suppose the question I want to start with is, what does it mean to be different versions of ourselves? What does that mean to you, babe?
Obviously we don't change. We can change physically, but like internally, I think is what we're really talking about is, our values change as people, our habits change and all the rest of it. So like for example, like transitioning from party era into a healing era, like you're a completely different person and the people around you change and all the rest of it. So that's what it kind of means for me. Just you kind of up leveling, I guess, emotionally, physically, mentally, and all the rest of it. So yeah,
exactly. And so we have all these different versions of us, but it doesn't mean that we're not still the person that we were in the past. All of these combine who we are in the present, like all of these beautiful parts of us and all of these journeys and these beliefs we've established along the way, they all still make up us and who we are. So it's not like when we step into this transition and we're shedding the old and stepping into the new, it's not like we're totally forgetting that person. That person is still us. It's all us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you kind of can't undo all the life experience that you've gained along the way, which is really beautiful as well, because, you go into each new era with, new parts of you, which is really cool. But in order to do that, sometimes you've got to let go of the old, which can be really hard as well, like letting go of parts of your identity that you've held on for so many years, letting go of people. Even moving, like we've both moved, like you moved across the world, I've moved states in Australia, and that within itself, we gained new things about ourselves along that journey as well. We will never get rid of those parts of us, I guess. We just learn to create new ones.
Exactly. And it's just that importance of understanding that all versions of us still encompass who we are as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think as humans, we just have this complicated relationship with change. Like it's inevitable. It's essential for growth. Change can also be deeply uncomfortable for us, especially if it feels involuntary, or out of our control. And I think that's the thing that scares people the most, is not having control of what the future looks like, not having control of if you do chase your dreams. And that can be scary as.
Yeah, literally. And I feel like as humans, we want to know every little step on the journey. Like we want it paved out in front of us before we actually take the leap. But sometimes we're just going to take that first leap and then all the bricks are going to lay out before us. But surrendering to that process, and we understand because we've went through it. And sometimes you're just holding so much onto the old that new can't come in yet because you're still holding onto all those beliefs and stuff like that. That shaped you into the person that you are today, and all the versions of you before were so beautiful and all the rest of it. But to step into the new, we do have to release the old.
It's almost like a shedding. We shed the old self and step into the new. And even though it can be like fucking uncomfortable, our old self will always be a part of us. And it's like, just because we step into the new light doesn't mean we lose that old identity at all. So yeah, I think that's super scary and incredibly uncomfortable. And it's embracing the uncomfortableness as hard as it is. Yeah. Like we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't have all of these older versions of us, if that makes sense.
Literally. It's kind of like you're taking all those little parts with you on the journey. We always talk to our little self as well, don't we, babe? It's like, our little, our little Jules and our little Day. Because we're taking them on the journey with us as well, and they're people that we need to heal as well, those little tiny versions of us that didn't have a voice and all the rest of it. So
exactly. And all of these things make us the incredible women that we are today. So we overcome life's obstacles, we grow, we heal, our past traumas, our childhood. They're all a part of our overall selves, our overall makeup of who we are today, which is just crazy when you think about it. It's like you live 1,000 lifetimes, and even your past self can also, like your past life. And I know not everyone believes in this, but definitely I believe that our past lives come forward into who we are today as well. And, you might have some fears about things and you wonder, where does that come from? And it's actually because you've experienced something in a past life and you've, still got that sort of makeup with you as you move through to this life.
100%. That's totally your thing. If you haven't realized already, Jules is so spiritual and it's so beautiful because all of the knowledge and wisdom you have is just empowering. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. And when I had a past life reading, like one of the things that came forward was, tattoos have been heavily in all of my past lives. And I know that comes forward. I was always like, oh, why am I so attracted to men with tats? And well, lo and behold, it's because, in my past lives, I've had a past life reading. A lot of the things that have came forward in those have been like tribals. I've been in lots of tribes and so it's just crazy how that's what I find in 2024.
Insert like a drawing emoji right here. She loves them so much.
I don't know what it is. Honestly, I feel like it just creates like a story and a map of somebody when they have tattoos on them. It's sort of like, as you've just got a tattoo on your arm, and like, what does that signify for you?
Perfect divine timing. Yeah, it's meaningful. It's really meaningful. 100%. It's creative. It's art. Like it's arty. It tells a story. 100%.
Exactly. So I think that's why I love it so much. Is when I see someone with tats, I'm like, oh, I want to know. Tell me more. Why'd you get this one? Why'd you get this one? And So, anyways, I digress.
As parts, just who we are.
But I suppose our message is like, we hold the power. We are the powerful women that we are. We hold the power to heal, to change. We hold the power to, make moves at any stage of our lives, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're navigating. If you're navigating childhood trauma, if you're, in a DV relationship, if you just left a DV relationship, if you're a single mom, if you're navigating becoming a mom, becoming a parent, all of these things at any stage of our life, we are the ones in control. So if you're not happy, change it.
100%.
Like, don't stay stuck in that negative place. You don't have to. You don't have to be in that negative place your entire life. And I know we all go through ebbs and flows of life and different changes and stuff. But I suppose the reality is it comes back to us. We hold the power and we don't have to stay stuck in that negativity and continue down that dark path. We can make even small little changes to start with and realize, it all comes back to us and we are so powerful.
We are the creator of our reality, and we can rewrite the story at any given time, no matter who you were in the past. Like, you have that pen and you can rewrite a whole new story. And it doesn't just happen like that. It is 100% the small little changes every single day. It's the way that we think about ourselves, the way we speak about ourselves, all of that sort of stuff. Growth is so fucking uncomfortable. And I think that's why people hold off, or they don't want to change because they're so scared of letting go of all of the stuff. But it is so freeing in so many ways. It is totally not easy, but it is so freeing and just amazing when you can look back and go, holy fuck, I got through that. I did that. And I'm a better person because of it. And I show up as a better mum, a better friend, a better wife, a better insert here. So committing to just yourself and just wanting a better life. I actually read a book. I can't remember what book it is. Well, actually listening to it, of course. And it said, it was actually really eye-opening. He was like, if you don't have 5,000 dreams, like you're playing it way too small. And when you really think about that, like all of the things, like if you dream home, you want lilies in your garden, if you want horses, like writing out all of those individual things, 100% everyone has 5,000 plus dreams. And if you're just living like the mediocre life when you want to be doing other things like traveling and all the rest of it, or you're waiting on people like to come traveling with you, to go to the movies on a Friday night, any of that sort of stuff, stop waiting, just start living. Like I feel like when you have kids, and it's kind of like the Australian dream is to, you know, get your partner, have your kids, and, you know, get your home, and then that's it. We travel once a year. But if you have like this yearning in you, and that's totally perfect if you want that life 100%. But I feel like a lot of women want a lot more than that. Like they want to travel, they want to, you know, create things, they want to start their side hustle, or all of that sort of stuff. So stop playing small is what I'm trying to say. What I'm getting at, I'm digressing, but stop playing small. Like we're here to live the most abundant life. We are born into abundance, and we need to just like realize that. Like, yeah, if you don't have 5,000 plus dreams, guys, you're playing it way too small. Like over the
mic drop.
Yeah, literally. Over the whole course of your life, like 100% we want 5,000 plus things. Like it changes all the time. So yeah, I actually suggest to, in a notes section of your phone right now, pull it out, pop dreams in there, and start literally every time you think of something, or when you see something on Instagram, you're like, fuck, I want to travel there. Put it in your dreams and just kind of surrender to the process, not knowing how it's going to happen, and just watch all of those things that start happening. Like, for example, I put in my dreams that I wanted to take my kids to Pink. And I was like, don't know how I'm going to make it happen, blah, blah. And then my mom calls me like a few days later, and she's like, hey, I'm going to like give you guys, like she didn't even know that we wanted to go to Pink, I don't think. And yeah, she called me and she's like, I'm going to pay for tickets for Easter for you and the kids to go to Pink. And I was like, what the, like, oh, and like, that's the power of actually intentionally putting it in the notes section of your phone, letting go, trusting the universe has your back, God, Jesus, whatever you believe in. And just surrendering to it. Like, yeah, because sometimes you actually might be gifted those things as well, your dreams. So not needing to know all of the steps.
Yay to Pink. What a beautiful celebration that's going to be. A little getaway.
Especially after such a really hard, crazy week this week. So you need to plan things to have fun.
Absolutely. And just knowing that those thoughts, those negative thought patterns that we have, like those control our reality. Sometimes we don't realize how powerful they are, but we are the drivers of our life. And if we constantly have those negative thoughts and we don't flip them to be like, I get to. So for example, Daleen and I have really been working on that at the moment where, you know, we'll be like, oh, like such a busy week. I've got this, and this. And then it's like, oh, wait. But we actually manifested these things. So, you know, I get to do this. I get to do this. I get to do this. And just sort of changing that thought pattern, because it really does make a huge difference in your energy levels and the way you look at life and your gratitude and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it makes you realize, like, yeah, like you just said, we do manifest these things. Like I manifested a bigger house. So what comes with that? More cleaning and more gardening and more preparation of the house. And it's so funny. Be careful what you wish for. No kidding.
Exactly.
But yeah, just reminding yourself that like 5 years ago you would have dreamed to be in the place that you are right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to drop in with a quote there. So every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. And that's by Harriet Tubman. So true.
Amen.
Love that. So yeah, I know we bang on a lot about and repeat ourselves in different episodes, but our messages sort of coincide with one another. And yeah, that's the crazy thing about it, is we are also navigating these things in our own lives as well. And is it uncomfortable for us during the transitions? Hell freaking yes. But is it worth it? Fuck yes. Like, it is so little milestones, or as Daleen said, she's getting to go to Pink, or, you know, these little things drop into your life because you're working hard for them. So you'll feel all the feels, embrace them, embrace every single one of them, all of them. And yeah, just feel them.
Amen. You got to feel them to heal them. Isn't that what they say?
Absolutely. So vulnerability is like such a superpower as well. Being courageous is the new sexy. Bravery is remarkable. And trust me, your future self is going to thank you.
100%. And when you open yourself up to be vulnerable and courageous, you inspire other people to do the same. Like, we have someone in our vortex right now, hey babe, who is making courageous moves right now. And we're like 2 weeks ago was such in fear, and now is taking all these little steps to like get to her dream life and all the rest of it. And we're just so proud. But because we're vulnerable and because we share our story, because we're courageous and all the rest of it, it just ripples into other people and they get inspired as well. So you never know who you're actually inspiring by just being yourself and chasing your dreams. So just do it.
So proud of you, girl. Celebrating you. You know who you are.
We love you so much.
We do. So some things that support us when we let go of those past parts of us or those past versions of us is definitely acknowledging those feelings, feeling the feelings as they arise, taking space from the feelings if they are too overwhelming, because they can be at times. And it's okay to step back and have a hot minute and just take a break from them. But work through those motions in therapy, tune into our bodies. Did you want to drop in and add some more to that, babe?
I will. Journaling, notes to self. So this is something Julia and I have just recently started doing. So we've got a WhatsApp to ourselves where we voice clip ourselves, like the highs, the lows, everything in between. You can even put photos in there, quotes, all of the rest of it. And it would be actually really good if I don't think I've sent this to you yet, but if we could reflect over the month and go back through and like actually listen to like your voice tone and how you are, and just reevaluate like repeating cycles that may be happening in your life. And this can kind of coincide if you want to do journaling as well, doing that as well. And then just actually having a day of the month where you just go back and reflect and see if there's anything that's actually like repeating, where you can just get some awareness and stuff around. So that's really powerful. Speaking to close friends and family, highly recommend voice clips as well, or phone calls, because like you can text things out, but I feel like you just get to the nitty gritty a lot quicker when you're voice clipping or you give them a phone call. Reading self-help books, of course. Putting in strong as fuck boundaries with your phone. This is something I need to actually work on, like the scroll hole. But boundaries with people, your phone, your workplace and all the rest of it. Moving our bodies is essential as well. Stretching, if you really don't have the energy, like emotional energy to do anything, just stretching is perfect, or a slow walk, or even just going outside with the dogs and just throwing a ball with them or something like that. Sleeping well, eating well, hydration, all of the things that we know to do, but it just seems like we've got so much to do that we actually forget the key things. Do you want to jump in here, my honey?
Yeah, definitely. The body check-ins as well. Like every time before we start an episode, we'll drop into our bodies and we'll just call in our guardian angels, archangels, our ancestors, our spirit guides, to just send through any messages that need to be shared with the world, that need to be shared with our audience. And remembering to hold the space for ourselves as well, because I think that that's so important. Sometimes we are holding the space for everyone else that we forget to actually have a hot minute and, hold the space for us as well. Removing toxic things that numb us. So, if you are turning to alcohol, as you know, with Daleen being in her no alcohol era currently, removing those toxic things to be able to actually face the feelings and heal and not have something just constantly numbing you, because it doesn't give you the opportunity to actually just sit there in the emotions. As uncomfortable as it is, a lot of the time we'll turn to these different things, as we've spoke about, and that numbs us, and then we find we're going through the same repeating cycles and patterns over and over and over. So yes, osteo, chiro, kinesiology, naturopathy, all beautiful, just beautiful things where we can hold space with ourselves and we can let the energy sort of flow freely, go for healing sessions, go for Reiki sessions, whatever your jam is. Just make sure, we work so much on our mind to make sure that you're also honing in on that body as well. Because that can support to have the motions sort of flowing more freely. Vision boards. If you want your dreams to become your reality, visualize it, put it down, put it on a board, set your intentions. And then as you move through the year, go back and revisit your vision board. And make sure, and the things that you have accomplished, maybe move it to a different board. Like if you're doing it virtually, move it to a different board and be like celebrations, because these are the ones you've actually accomplished, and then add new ones. Because we should always just be manifesting and manifesting. So with that comes manifesting and releasing with the moon phases. So we manifest with the new moon and we release with the full moon. And that's sort of the spiritual way of doing things in manifesting and releasing. And if you're manifesting, you're calling things in. So you might journal everything that you want to come in, and then you bury it in your front yard. And then if you're releasing, you might journal everything you want to let go of. You might burn it. You might not want to burn it. Whatever you feel called to do, whatever your intuition tells you. And that goes in the backyard because we're releasing. It's going out the back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love you so much. On the back end of the vision board and manifesting, I think sometimes there can be this illusion that we'll create this pretty vision board and we're going to write out a manifestation and a life script, and then we just sit around waiting for it to drop on our head. You actually got to put in the work. You actually got to, if you want more money, you got to start creating things that are going to make you more money. Obviously, there is times where money's just going to drop in your bank account and you're like, what the fuck, where'd that come from? 100%. All for that. But you have to put in the work. Your dreams aren't going to become a reality and people aren't going to do it for you. So you need to do it yourself. You need to put the action in, and also being an energetic match as well. And just, hard work does pay off, and we can have all these visions, but you do need to do the work. Real talk.
You do. And saging that energy, we do all this releasing and we do all of this, manifesting, but sometimes we'll walk into our house and we'll be like, oh, or we leave our home and we're like, oh, I feel so much clearer now. And I don't know if you believe in this, but I highly do. If you don't have a sage stick, I highly recommend that you give it a go. There's nothing to lose. And just sage that energy, open all the doors and windows, get rid of, anything stuck, stagnant, negative, which I can talk about in another episode of how to actually hone in and do that properly. But clearing out the spaces in your home. So sometimes, you'll just get in this little bubble where you're like, oh, I want to organize my pantry. I want to organize my linen closet. Oh, I really want to organize the kids' rooms and whatever it may be for you. And that's just making room for the new. So sometimes we really need to cleanse things out, because believe it or not, when you move things around, even in your home, even when you move around your candles or your plants, it moves around energy. So all of the energy gets stuck sort of in that one space. But when we move all of these things around, and that's why it feels so good and beautiful to do a clear out or to organize. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in energy.
Can we just drop, Jules actually makes some beautiful sage sticks bunches. They are so beautiful. Could you just let us know where people can purchase them?
Absolutely. So you can come to my Instagram, or feel free to just DM us on EWP and I can direct you to the page. And we can drop the page in the show notes, but it's Sweetgrass Circle of Healing 1111. And the reason for the 1111, I've even got it tattooed. Tattooed on my arm. Is that's the time that my grandmother actually passed away, and it's always been a significant number for me. So yes, that's why the 1111. But yes, please come on over and have a look. I also do full moon circles in Geelong, full moon healing circles, and I will be dropping a lot more things this year. So come on over, come have a look, come join us on the spiritual side of things if that is your vibe.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes as well, her Instagram handle. But definitely get around it.
Now that we've talked to you all about the things that you can do to sort of embrace that transition, I want to hone a little bit in on the fear. Let's talk about the fear. What is fear to you, Daleen? What does it mean to be fearful?
Oh my God. It's fearful is like, for me, my experience is like a full body shutdown, like freeze, like I just don't want to do this. Like, for example, when we started recording the podcast, oh, fuck, and the limiting beliefs that will come in your head, it's like the noise in your head is so loud and it just can paralyze you so much. That you can't like see a way, like, and then you just kind of will step back. So most of the time in my life, I've just been like, nah, I'm done. Like these voices are way too loud, but we're going to control those voices and actually put fear in the passenger seat and be like, we're taking control. Because on the other side of fear is so much growth. Like if you actually listen back to the first podcast episodes of EWP, you can tell I am so in my head. And there was a couple of times where I hopped off and I laid on my bed and I was like, I am never doing a podcast again, because that was the feeling in my body. I was just so closed off and so restricted, and the voices were just so loud and I was picking myself apart. But if you move fear in the passenger seat, holy Jesus, on the other side of it is just incredible. Like, and I feel like we can use fear as our compass as well. And just lean into it. Like, even if it's just short little things every time, like recording, for example, recording an episode, I feel like I was just like, all right, we'll just do the next one. And we're just doing it in small stages and just pushing through those limiting beliefs one by one, until you're like broke free from them. Yeah, that's my kind of example and my experience on fear, but it can be very paralyzing, and the noise in your head can be so loud that you're just like, nah, I'm done. I'm not going out of my comfort zone. But if we can be a beacon of anything on the other side of it, is just so incredible and so freeing. And then you're like, what's next?
Absolutely. It can be a huge factor of why we don't make moves. And we don't even realize that we're sitting in that fear, because sometimes we're so used to sitting in it that it just feels normal. But in reality, it's something that you're afraid of. You're afraid to take control of your life. You might be afraid of what the future looks like. You might be afraid of, things not going the way you're expecting. You might be afraid of what other people think of you. But once we let go of that fear, that's when the real magic happens. That's when we are able to sort of step into that light, and we just got to put those belief systems to the side, not worry about what others think, not be so fearful of the change, because what's the worst that could happen? If it doesn't work out, well, then you can try a different way, or you can develop a new dream or a new goal or a new way of doing things. So yeah, it's just so important to face that fear head on and be like, nah, I'm taking control today. As we say, I'm jumping in the driver's seat. Because we're never going to get anywhere in life if we let fear sit in the driver's seat all the time. And we need to take that control back, start being in control of our own life and our own reality. Because it's so important to moving forward and getting through that transitional phase.
Yeah. And I don't think there is a human on the planet that doesn't feel fear. Like even very entrepreneurial people like Tony Robbins and all the rest of it, they feel fear. But they feel the fear and they do it anyway. And they have somatic sort of things that they do in order to drop into their body. Because a lot of fear is in our head, really. It's a story that we're playing out. And what Jules and I are actually doing a trauma-informed course at the moment. And one of the modules actually said that we're pretty much born into fear as a collective. Like it's so fearful with war, inflation can cause fear. All of the rest of it, there's like the whole collective, a lot of them, 95% of them, I would assume, are in fear most of the time. So we take on that in our nervous system as well. So, and then we adapt to the collective energy. So, I feel like once you start pushing through fear and, getting through that, I feel like on a collective basis, it would just give other people hope and all the rest of it as well. So fear is sort of like counterintuitive, sort of beautiful in a sense, because it kind of is an opportunity for growth.
And going off the back end of that, if you think about it, when we're born, we are so comfy in that womb with our mom, and, we feel so safe and secure and, nurtured, and we're getting all the things that we need. And then bam, next minute we're like, and we're out into this big room and there's all these people like looking at us, and we're like, whoa, we've just gone from this beautiful, dark, warm, cozy place to this big, scary world, and all these people are around. And it's just, could you imagine like what it would be to actually think back to when you were born if you had the capability to do that? I don't know if anybody could, but that's probably when our fear starts.
Literally. And imagine having to be naked for 9 months and then having to wear jumpsuits. Like, seriously.
And nappies and all the rest of it. And going back to that trauma course as well, one of the things that we've been learning is that that trauma actually starts in the womb, which that blew my mind away. It just, yeah.
Yeah, literally. Because I guess you're adapting to like your mum's nervous system, and you're hearing and feeling all the emotions that she is like. And if like, obviously I navigated DV while I was pregnant. So like, and in turn, dysregulated nervous system pretty much as soon as a child comes out. And babies don't consciously know that. Obviously we are learning all this stuff as we go through adult life. So yeah, it's just crazy.
I know. It's just so magical when you actually stop and think about all of the things that combine us or can impact us or make us who we are. It's just, it's really just full on, isn't it?
Amen. But we also still have the opportunity to heal all that and to regulate our nervous system and, be able to co-regulate with our therapist or with your friends and stuff like that, which is so beautiful as well. So,
for sure. And that self-awareness is like crucial during those times of transition. And self-awareness is crucial during a lot of our lives. Being able to identify and acknowledge our feelings and help us understand our values, prioritize our relationships, writing down our emotions and seeking input from like trusted individuals can provide all these valuable insights. And I guess we have like different blind spots and strengths that we don't see. So for example, you might not always see what I see when I look at you or when I hear your voice, or, I just have a different understanding of you than you would as a person. We always talk about we're our own worst critics. And then for myself, vice versa. So you might see things about me that I don't even think about or realize. Or one of the things that stands out for me is the gracefulness of like how I navigate motherhood, and how you always say that to me. And I actually stop and think, and I'm like, oh, do I? Because sometimes it can just feel so hectic and chaotic. And I'm thinking, do I actually navigate it gracefully? And that really means a lot to me, by the way, when you say that to me. It stands strong in my mind sometimes. And I'm like, okay.
Cute.
No, thank you.
It's so true, though. And that's why we need to be open and vulnerable with our friends and tell them parts. Because, like, I always say this, but if you die tomorrow, like, and you haven't poured love into your friend and she didn't really know how you thought about her or your wife, like, your hubby or whoever it is in your life, your loved ones, like, tell them every day you love them. I don't know how many times we tell each other we love them. I actually proposed to Julia on Instagram the other day because I was like, look, you like know me better than any of my ex-partners. Like, you know everything about me and my cues, and I don't know. We're amazing at that. I'm like, do you want to just get married? But like, I get to go, do my thing. But yeah, you just need to tell everybody what you think about them, and like in real time as well. Like, don't wait. Like, just say it when you think about it.
And in case you're wondering, I said I do.
We're getting married, guys.
I'm going to drop in another quote here because I just think the quotes that resonate with this episode were so beautiful and they just were really meaningful. So stepping onto a brand new path is difficult, but not more difficult than remaining in a situation which is not nurturing to the whole woman. And that's by Maya Angelou. Like, let's just take a moment.
Take a breath, take a moment. There's another one also we got here. If we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we aren't really living. By Gail Sheehy. I think that's how you pronounce it. How beautiful.
Oh, just like we do a lot of research for our episodes. So I know we talk a lot about our own sort of journeys and our own, experiences, but we also go off and do research as well so that we can bring value and we can back up what we're saying with quotes and stats and all the rest of it. So,
yeah, this podcast is really built on so much love. Like, I think we just did a story last night and I was like every time I listen to like editing a podcast of ours, I just love us even more because I'm like, we are just so open and vulnerable and knowledgeable and wisdom. And I just know like all the conversations that go on the back end of this podcast. And we hope you guys feel it. And I trust that you guys do. But yeah.
We talk about it all the time. It doesn't consume us, but we're always throwing back ideas or adding into the million Google spreadsheets that I've created that Daleen is now getting used to doing, the organization side of things. But yeah, it really all just sort of brings the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can deliver these episodes to you, our listeners.
100%.
Another thing that was really helpful is if you're struggling to sort of go between that past self moving into your present self, see if you can define a moment that can be embedded with significance. So, and articulate that to yourself and those around you. So simply recognize a specific moment as a divider between the past and the present and what that pivotal sort of moment will be. So I think when I talk about this, one thing that stands out to me that defines like your past self and your present self was when you really made that decision, babe, to sort of do that. Was it a 6-week challenge where you went to the gym? And I think that is sort of like pivotal to me of when you really were moving into this next era of your life. Am I wrong?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I was drinking all the time and all the rest of it, which I think I spoke about in the No Alcohol Era potty. If you haven't listened to it, go listen. But yeah, 100%. Like you just said, yeah, 100%. Because it had no alcohol in it, and then it gave me a chance to. I wasn't just purely focusing on the no alcohol. I was focusing on the fitness, and then just from there it just changed, and then I just committed to diving deeper into healing. So 100%.
Yeah. So just pick this like pivotal moment where you just like know enough is enough and, you know, write that down and sort of use that as a springboard to keep moving forward and to keep understanding, okay, that was past me before this moment. And now from that moment, I'm looking forward to future me, and put in all those little things, all those little tips and tricks for your toolkit that are going to sort of work for you to step into that new light, that new era.
I actually heard on a live the other day on Instagram. I'm always just listening and reading stuff, honest to God. And the coach actually said, her name's Steph, she's actually amazing. She actually said that she heard from her previous mentor that it takes 5 years to completely transform your life. But each year you're going to see, obviously, each month, like even every 6 months, you're going to see a significant difference in yourself. But when you get to that 5th year, you're like, the first year is totally unrecognizable and you're like, how the fuck did I live in that? Like, and I just think it's so true. I got full goosebumps right now. But like, and don't think of that as like a scary thing. Think of that as like the most empowering thing. Like, your complete whole world can change in a year, but imagine in 5 years. Like, if you just look at the difference in 1 year, times that by 5, times it by 1,000,000, and the person that you would be is just completely unrecognizable, which is so empowering. And just hits, just lands.
Just lands good. Yeah, I love all the knowledge that you get from watching all these videos and reading all these books. You just like this little tree of knowledge.
A little encyclopedia. And I kind of listen to stuff, and like, just for like premise as well, when you're reading books and stuff, some things land and some things just don't, and you take what you want and try some things and then leave the rest. Like, otherwise our brains will just be so overloaded with stuff. But there's so many things that just stand out in certain books and podcasts and lives that people do that I'm like, oh, I'm taking that and I'm taking that. But going into that also is like, no one's going to break the cycle as well. Like, you're not going to break any cycle in your life until it's become, it shouldn't really have to get to that, but sometimes it has to get so fucking uncomfortable in your life for you to be like, I've got to make a change in my life. No one's going to do it for you. And even saying this with friends and stuff, if you're seeing them go through different eras and cycles and stuff like that, they have to come to that. There's no amount of pressure that you can do to push them into changing and all the rest of it. It's an internal decision within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think forgiveness comes in hand with that. Like you can't move forward unless you forgive the past, and the past
Mm.
versions of you and the things that you did to get through
Mm.
those difficult time periods. We
Yeah.
go through things, and as I said before, we numb things, and
Mm.
or we might not be as kind to others as we would like to because we can barely walk down the street, with
Mm.
positivity within ourselves. So it's just about forgiving. You can't move
Mm.
forward unless you have that forgiveness for yourself, and unless you sort of sit with it and say, like, I forgive you. I forgive that past version of you. You weren't your best self, but you're moving forward now, because you don't want to live
Mm.
in that guilt and shame forever.
No, 100%. It will just keep you stagnant. That's what we work in
Mm.
therapy, is understanding the guilt and shame sort of cycle. And one serves us better than the other, obviously. I can't remember which one. Do you know, babe? The guilt and shame.
No.
Yeah. So
No.
one serves us. So one is like I am a bad person, or I've done a shitty thing. So they're completely different. You're internalizing that as like, I'm a bad person. But the other one's like, I've done, like, my behavior was shit. But the other one, yeah. So understanding that, maybe we can touch on that in a different episode for guilt and shame. Yeah. But it's really powerful to understand the difference between the both.
Absolutely. I know that we wanted to speak about the transition curve and sort of the stages of transition. And this resonates very much with sort of the change. What was it? The change circle or the change wheel that you used in your therapy?
Yeah, the cycle of change. So I think a lot of people have adapted these. So I think it was originated for addiction, but people have originated now doing it in like PT and all the rest of it. So everyone's just making it their own now, which is really cool. And then you've brought up the change curve, which is very, very similar. So do you want to talk into that a little bit more, honey?
Yeah, so it's based on a model, as you said, which was originally developed in the 1960s by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and it explained the grieving process. But since then, it then morphed into the addictions, and anyways, it's widely utilized as a method of helping people understand their reactions to significant change or upheaval. And when you actually look at the change curve, or the transition curve, as it's commonly called between the two of them, you realize, oh, I've been going through these sort of stages and these hills my whole life. And it's crazy how when you realize that's actually happened in your lives, like, it's just crazy to back it up with science and evidence. So you have...
Sorry, we might actually put a link to a Canva or something. I think we'll be able to do that. We can pop it into Canva so you guys can see the visual of it. I wish we could draw it on a whiteboard, but obviously you're going to go through it. But we'll pop a link in the show notes so you guys can see it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's comprised of 4 main stages, and people tend to go through these stages as they sort of adjust to change. And these stages are the shock and denial stage. So when a change is first introduced, people may react like defensively and deflect it, and this results in a drop in productivity at this stage. And as people cling to these past processes and deny that change is happening and that they need to move forward, they go through sort of that pivotal part of shock and denial. And then you move into anger and fear. And then reality kind of sets in that this change is happening, or it needs to happen. And then people become angry and actively resist or protest against the changes because they fear that it's going to negatively impact against them. And then the last 2 stages is acceptance. And then at this stage, people begin to let go of what they've lost and they start accepting the changes. So they may begin testing and exploring what the change means and learn about how they need to adapt to it. And then the last is the commitment. And then in this final stage, people accept and embrace the change. They start to feel more confident and enthusiastic about the new direction. And then they're able to sort of move forward. So I think all of the tools and tricks and stuff that we've sort of dropped in the beginning of this episode is really beneficial as you move through that change curve. And as we always say, you just got to kind of pick and choose from our little tips and tricks what's going to work for you, because what works for one might not work for another. But yeah, we hope that you can resonate with some of them that we've dropped in.
Yeah, amen. There's a quote I'm going to drop in here as well. In any given moment, we have 2 options: to step forward into growth or step back into safety. And sometimes actually growth is safety. Like in my experience, I'm going from unsafe to safe. So on the back end of that, sometimes, like if you're going through an alcohol, like you're excessively drinking or you're in toxic habits and stuff like that, it's actually safer for you to grow and heal through that and come out the other side, because you're going to have safer coping mechanisms and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's so beautiful. I love us so much and all the things that we bring.
Me too. Me too.
Honestly, change is so hard sometimes, but on the other end of it, it's just so beautiful. And when you have beautiful friends around you on similar journeys, is even more powerful.
And once you start to have that toolkit and develop those sort of little skills or tips and tricks for yourself as you move through this, you'll just find that you'll start to do those things naturally. That you'll just naturally start to send yourself notes, or you'll naturally journal it, or you'll naturally just sit there and be like, take a breath, take a moment, and feel where in your body that's coming from, and feel what emotion that is, and name that emotion. And you'll find that you'll navigate more seamlessly through things such as transitioning. So yeah, it's so cool. It is so cool once you realize the power that you hold within you.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to add another quote. So, dreams are the seeds of change. Nothing ever grows without a seed, and nothing ever changes without a dream. And that's by Debbie Boone.
And so on brand with Empowering Women Project.
Absolutely. How cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, babe, about transitioning from old self to new self?
Just do it. Don't think of all the steps. I keep saying it over. I even say this on my stories all the time. Just don't overthink it. Just take the first step. If that's, trying to get into therapy or going to the gym or whatever it is for you, just maybe reducing the amount of alcohol you're having throughout the week and on the weekend, and, just those little things. But just don't overthink it, and just take every day and every step, one day at a time.
Little baby steps if you have to. You can break down one big step into like 10 little baby steps if that's going to help you go along your journey. You got to figure out what to do for yourself and what works for you.
Amen. You can listen to all the podcasts and books, but if you're not consciously making the change, then nothing's going to change, unfortunately. But it's just the way it is.
You're going to be stuck in the old. And a good way to look at it is like the caterpillar cycle. So like, caterpillars morphing into a cocoon and then morphing into a butterfly and expanding their wings. And yeah, that always helps me think of change.
Amen.
So cute. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we're so grateful to have you all along on this journey. And yeah, we just can't wait for what the rest of this year holds and all of the beautiful women that are going to be coming on and collaborating with us. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, beautiful humans. We love you guys so much.
We hope you feel inspired to take back your power. Thank you for listening into the EWP Potty with Jules and Day. We want to challenge you to share this potty with someone you love. Let's get all women involved. Follow us on Insta at EmpoweringWomen_project. Facebook and TikTok at Empowering Women Project.
We invite you to interact with us on our socials, our threads, and in our DMs. We are open to collaborating and invite you to reach out if you feel inspired to be a guest on our EWP podcast. Remember, you are the creator of your reality. We encourage you to start believing in yourself and the magic of the universe.